So, greetings. This is Lott 2.8, and I have delayed for the whole month about the Lott Live forum when it comes to the October's ones, because I don't want to know. I have no idea. I just want to work on the things I'm supposed to work on. For the screen you're seeing right here, it's going to be what is going to be the primary topic once it is on that. But before we're going to start the whole live forum, let's begin with the roll up first. The wrap up and the content we are going to cover. The first one is going to be the extension about the monetary control, because the central bank digital currency is going worse. It is going to be happening within the foreseeable future, or even worse, probably within 7 to 8 years, or it is going to be even earlier. Number 2, the recent Pixiv problem when it comes to the diversity and inclusion eventually result even worse. For example, on the upcoming month, they are no longer allowing certain artwork being sold on fanbots request and booth, or Fantier if I that, which I'm going to prepare about it. Which is by extension, elimination and of harassment. They are the satire. They are both problematic. As a result, I'm going to change my title once again to include another topic when it comes to the YouTube problem, which is going to be a trailer about the next video, the one I would be willing to edit. YouTube's fake bots. Which means that the diversity of inclusion will be inclusive of the elimination of harassment that is turning out to be on the exactly the wrong direction. Hopefully, I can go through this within 30 to 40 minutes, and if there are anyone going to watch this video, I will be making a question and answer session. So here comes the first topic we are going to cover, which is the monetary control. First of all, for anyone who is aware of the money spending, we will have the central bank digital currency On the second one is going to be the conspiracy theory regarding the monetization platform, including Patreon, Pixiv fanbots, with the connection, the monetary connection, which is not going to be fully direct because I don't have the evidence yet. But the link between the rental-based or even just the subscription-based software and then the price on pledging for an artist you wish. The third one, it is going to be, if I could say that, the concept of Bitcoin. So, let's dig in about the central bank digital currency, which is going to be to start with. The concept of central bank digital currency is going to be merging your identity into your currency, your wallet. The primary intention of doing so is to increase the overall efficiency when it comes to the transactions and making it easier in general to complete a transaction. So when I only have cash, but I want to spend it elsewhere, online or something, all I need to do would be using the central bank digital currency, make a transaction on it, authenticate it, and your money will be transferred directly. That is the main concept when it comes to that. However, if you dig a little bit deeper with the existing infrastructure, which is possible for that digital currency to work, you will realize even the digital currency system itself requires you to agree with certain situations. For example, you're required to agree. You have to agree with the whole license. And if you do anything wrong on it, there is a chance you will be banned from it, or even worse, taxation or whatever. So for the digital currency, it's not just the reality that it makes the transaction easier. They want to also centralize the very thing when it comes to paying taxes, utilities, and the fees you have to pay. One of them is going to be the punishment in monetary method. For example, you have been sentenced one accusation of guilty, and the punishment is going to be a monetary method. What does that mean? You have to pay the fine. But in central bank digital currency system, you are going to expect that the fund is going to be deducted directly from your wallet, from your identity. The second problem is exactly because you have to agree with the licensing agreement. They can actually freeze your account if you are believed you have problems by the government or payment processor. I had an experience when I first touched all those debit cards online, which is the virtual one, before I was old or the local is forward enough to use the debit card, which I don't want to use the credit card anyway, because I don't want to end up myself getting the problems when someone stole my credit card and spent it all, risking the chance that the fund was authenticated and I would be falling victim of that. Let's begin with that experience when it comes to the debit card. My first debit card before I could even use my bank card as that was Bitcoin based, the spectral coin. At the time, I would have to fill up a form, which is the evidence of addresses and then your own identity. But at the time, I could register my first debit card. They would never ask me. The question me my actual identity, which is actually a good thing, because if that is the privacy concern, it works. It would be a good thing if you are just a normie, especially. That card was created in about 2 days, and in order to use it, I had to add funds, but at the time, there was no bank access to me because I was just 13 or 14 years old. All I could do was to find a method to actually add funds through Bitcoin. At the time, Bitcoin was about 3,000 to 4,000 per one. That was why that time I also got the chance to use that card to pay for my carnival access. If you remember, that's whatever. That made the whole thing easier because that was all an option rather than by force. And the primary monetary system, which is the fiat, is unlikely accessible because they would have to question everything. They don't want the money laundering to happen. In reality, even today, you can actually see the traceable things when you use the bank account to pay anything at all. Last live stream, talking about the cashless problem, I also said that I'm not going to engage in any shops refusing to accept cash. The reason is they are applauding the system that exploits consumers through the monetary, which is basically the very fundamental method. Hold up, I need to take a tissue. That was my concern, that what if I suddenly get frozen in my account? for any reason, I would have absolutely no access to those shops. And you're basically being questioned about your credibility until you can verify it, or someone who has the power, who has the rights to verify it, to judge you if you can use it again. That's just like iPhone. If you install an application in iPhone, you by legal method, guess what? You have to agree a term that Apple can retroactively claw back it if the application is taken down or something. The important part isn't just any here. Consider the central bank digital currency and cash being a difference between today's cloud service and then your own computer with your own full control. And that is why I basically use the micro SD and a lot of physical storage to additionally store my content and the live stream replays. Or just in case the platform is going to do shit on me and removing all my content, disabling accounts, or by extension, doing the shit or arresting me. Anything else that is relevant, at least my content is still possible to be recovered in anywhere else, including the physical method. So, the rant is actually that the second part of the monetary control I want to cover about, I said, is going to be the conspiracy theory between the today's subscription-based software. The second is going to be the monetization platform such as Patreon, Subscribestar, Substract, as well as the Pixiv fanbots, and anything else that is going to be relevant to that. This can also extend to Twitch, YouTube, even more whenever they accept the payments for that matter. So my primary theory is that the story began when I found that the increased amounts of pledging, when I go through the supporting page, I see those content creators asking $5 a month for most of the exclusive contents they have. Of course, if no one is going to pay for it, who is going to survive? They need to make money to make a live on. However, I found that there is another problem. Think of today's software, including Adobe, Autodesk, and whatever, requiring a subscription-based software which you are not allowed to buy it at a way. One of that, they ask a very huge price, and which means, for example, Adobe Cloud, Creative Cloud, if you want access to most of the products, that's not saying product at all because it is just a service by any legal means. So I'm just going to be pasting this one. The content is going to be for $55 a month for the main Creative Cloud subscription. If you do not earn enough, for example, you set up a website on Patreon and then you have to use your Adobe to create your own artwork. Of course, you don't need to use Adobe. That's just an example. You can also use Clip Studio Paint, but the problem is they are also going on the way of the subscription based. The problem is that they can change the price at any time. And if you post your content on Patreon, you hope to monetize it and make it the exclusive. Of course, if someone is interested in your content, they will be willing to pay for your content. So, about the link. What about if the amount of Adobe is asking per month? It's probably the reason they are setting the $5 to $10 a month and then having to go through with the exclusive content. By extension, I'm unable to afford, let's rephrase it, $5 a month to access most of the content. It makes sense for one artist, but not quite when it adds up. When I talked about how much do people pay when it comes to supporting artists or the content creators having those bosses, some of those thought to me that will be about $20 a month. More than that would be out of their mind, their ability. So, what is the happening with that? I might have to give some time, but at the same time, I need to point out the increased amount of subscription service that is not supposed to be subscription based. If you play with the Nintendo Switch, you're going to expect that paying the $2 to $3 a month in order to use the online system and increased amounts of game. If you want to go online, sorry, you must pay for the online access first. Of course, that is just some dollars. That is cheaper than a coffee. What about adding it up? How much is it? Imagine Adobe Creative Cloud, Netflix. Basically, Discord if you are willing to pay for it. YouTube Premium. Add it up and see how much you are going to pay for. I also told that my monthly charge alone, when it comes to, I repeat, artists and content creators I support, is approximately $70 per month. That's why but in the recent years, especially for the months, it is increasingly tightened when it comes to the cash flow I have. Why do I have to pay the $70 just to have those access to those exclusive content? And when we upload someone's work only to help to give an archive, and by extension, the piracy is the result of giving people less likely paying more than they could afford, but at the same time willing to pay within the money they can. And I got caught. I was warned about on refraining from the next happening. Exactly because of this reason, I cancelled my pledge on his subscription. At the same time, I need to change my strategy on paying those things anymore because people attempting to be proactively slashing down the pirates are the ones in the future more likely going to exploit the normal consumers more than the ones who don't. There has been a lot of evidence that I couldn't simply have it. The reason I don't buy Nintendo Switch because it is literally not my property. I repeat, even if I buy a Nintendo Switch, it is not my property at all. It is just a screen and the hardware, but I don't own the control of it. The bottom line, if you are a worker, assuming you have an income of 1,000 US dollars, that is after all the utilities, the necessary utilities, taxes, and the basic payout, the basic expenditure for cooking or and the things like maintaining your house, whatever. At the same time, they are going to ask you to pay about $100 or $200 a month. That adds up. Just like Netflix today, and which I have already explained on the last session, which is August or something. Okay. It is actually horrifying. The bottom line is going to be, you can imagine what is going to happen if a central bank digital currency is going to implement completely, and the company turned into doing that, into making sure you are going to pay that, making you pay for no reason. Imagine all those membership fees become a mandatory thing. And if you don't go for it, you are cutting off yourself from the majority and the industrial standard. Or just simply the standard service you need. Some of them, including Nintendo Switch, the right to use not being your part of your property is already a huge reduction of its service component. I have to explain why the digital currency is actually an extremely big deal, because in the recent years, we are actually seeing the things even worse. If you've seen that the recent Microsoft on the diversity and inclusion, there is an actual concern when they are actually doing the central bank digital currency, and the reality is already here. Let me pick up the photo regarding what Microsoft did. So here comes the sexual minority thing, the LGBTQIA+. When they are going to have the control of that, when they turned into the thing of sexual minorities, and for the people who are just simply transphobia are being excluded from the community, or literally the society that the one in power, who is also that being completely considered. I mean, he's completely considering the transphobian are the ones in are the threat of them, and what's going to happen if you are just simply saying something that is simply on your mistake, on your quick mistake or something? If you get banned because of it, what is going to happen? When the central bank digital currency is already going to be implemented, and the one who is in control of it is as broke as this picture, as the Microsoft's PR like this tweet, you can really preview what is going to happen. Not just you, not just the ones who are supporting, applauding this movement. Because on the next one, it's going to be very interconnecting. Because even in Pixiv, the platform, the Japanese platform, known for allowing the lolicon, the gore content as long as it is fictional, to assist. They're one of the fewest to do so. Imagine you are going to upload a hentai in a lolicon fashion and it is provably fictional. Guess what? Can you even post it on any websites in Western? For example, Patreon, Reddit, Discord, whatever. The simplest thing is going to be, if you are being found doing so, and the random warrior says that you have the problem, you are the pedophile. Because being a pedophile, I mean, when the people call those people calling you a pedophile, but you can prove yourself you aren't, it is actually not a very big issue. The bigger issue is that for those warriors working together to actually report you for the lolicon thing, exaggerating your behavior, extending the possibility that lolicon can actually sexualize real minors. What will you think that it's a freedom of speech anymore? Especially it is verified that no real children is involved, but you are just being banned because you are having the interest of that. Remember the incident about Carefos? Carefos was also found that he or she was also in love with the Shotacon until the whole thing happened. Whatever. Remember some kind of incidents that happened on Pixiv. I have no bigger idea for this right now, but the declaration of elimination of harassment. Some said that's because there is one worker in Pixiv who is transgender have been ending up in harassment, which is the possibility that's made the declaration of that. On the other side, approximately a few months later, for the declaration is 29th of August, and this one is going to be 15th of November. You really have to say, because many transactions feature those contents, but the problem is here. I'm going to magnify this. The rules or policies of brand protection for card networks transactions for contents that's patently offensive, unethical, or promotes criminal activity, such as, by the way, example, and not limitation. Sexual exploitation of a minor, incest, bestiality, rape, non-consensual mutilation of a person or body part. Believe it or not, even the Lott, which is the drawn hentai involving minors, which is also proven fictional, because even that does not necessarily mean it will promote anything criminal. It is just a method on expressing what you're going to draw or something. The content is a part of story. This update is actually extremely vague, because they didn't say the fictional thing. I mean, the possibility extension to the fictional thing. The possible trigger of the policy you saw here could be the reason Pixiv is experiencing one of the biggest problematic attack. Here it comes. I don't really know Japanese, but I have been learning about it. Simple, which is the simple for the restricted content. Someone, I mean, a bunch of bots, mainly in simply by Chinese, infiltrating the whole platform to spread their own real child pornography. I will provide this link after this session of this video, but the main part is going to be one of the worst, the most severe conspiracy thing. They even infiltrated to a level which is, let alone what content, which contents they are posting, is to a level that is nothing more than DDoS, which is the distributed denial of service, affecting the premium users as well. You know what is going to happen then? When it is already a very big deal. If you want to use Pixiv, you are required to have an account and some simple verification because you basically barely need to use it with your real identity and whatever. Because in China, it is basically impossible to access Pixiv without a VPN at all. And what they did is even far more like the abuse. Simplifying it isn't just the content. They even made the platform bad, which is probably cleared now. I believe when I saw newer posts saying that. The bottom line was this is going to be the possible chain effects that they want to make the platform they have into the same way the woke company do. We don't know what is going to happen next. It is going to be even worse than I would think of at least. Because when the real child pornography was posted, this is going to be extending to another topic, which is still somehow relevant, which is Minecraft. I will give you some videos. Let me take a look. Before that, I will be making sure it is properly muted, because the sound could get me into legal trouble as well for the content ID problem, but I'm supposed to not do that. To begin with, let's see how many of those channels on the top 10, how many of them are just bots. Let's begin with this one. But this one is going to be impossible, but this one is probably one. This one isn't. On the third one, it begins. Okay, for these videos, guess what? How many of these videos are actually bot generated? But it is just not only the generated videos. Look at the content. Okay, this one is probably just some randomly generated videos, with the fact that it is barely or just simply reused. Let's go with the ones even more obvious. For example, this. This animation could be great, could be awesome if they are actually doing this and it is not on the way to farm the traffic. But the problem is, they are actually playing with the algorithm. and abusing the platform brutally. I don't know if these are bots, but the problem is if these contents are to play with the algorithm, there's a chance these contents could be uh, washed by the miners. Why it's going to be a big deal? Because especially if all these videos are watched by the bots, which is by extension, none of the viewers, or literally the majority, is simply the automated generated traffic. What you are going to think? Because if all those traffic you saw were actually falling into the way the bot is having, it is very simple. Your content, your advertised content were all inside the bot. No one is actually using your service. No promotion is actually happening. That's what is going to happen if you were an advertiser. But at the end, you realized your all your traffic have come into all of these platforms, which is intended for, if you buy your traffic, for example, if you can buy like $10 and you can get some of your traffic here, you can see promoting your content by simply paying some $6 and then let them do their job on spamming the traffic, playing with the traffic, and you can get a tremendous amount of, I don't know, at the point I'm too out of my mind to say so, but imagine these bots consumes all the advertisements. Will you be willing to spend money on advertising your products on YouTube again? That is why it is not just Google being unwilling to handle the bots. They are also being straight when it comes to the people who are legitimate and are willing to follow the rules, but they just want to have some edgy comedy or something else that is relevant. I have been a YouTuber for about 5 years. 5 continuous years. Before that, I had been playing some videos, uploading some my videos, whatever. But today, I don't know what else I should really say about. The whole thing is, what is the point of doing so much work if I could literally pay about $6, risking a little bit of on my channel, and I could get a lot of views at once. Why? This is the tip of my upcoming flagship video. The manipulation is not only ruining the consumers, including me, including you, by extension because of that, advertisers, and even content creators. At this point, I just wanna say YouTube is about to fail. YouTube's advertiser-friendly policy and the threshold is on exactly the wrong direction when it comes to increasing the quality. Exactly because of that, a lot of platforms, which is supposed to be just some random video sharing, which is supposed to be topic specific, are rising up at the rate you will never, you were never been able to see before. It is faster than everyone would think of. At the bottom line, I'm no longer just standing here, just sitting here and hope for anything to change. I have been finding my way on making sure my access to my accounts will not be deferred by Google or something by extension because of that. Anyway, I will stop here for now. Anything else, I will put it into my next video, and it's going to be at least animated in some extent. I will be making some timestamp regarding this. Goodbye. Because there are no viewers, no significant viewers I saw, there will be no Q&A.